What is going on there, everyone? Well, another story from another leftist professor who makes me sad to be a human. SpongeBob is a violent, racist colonizer, says University of Washington professor. Yeah, that's right. A fictional character is a violent, racist colonizer. Let's get into this and see if we can make any sense of this. SpongeBob SquarePants, which celebrated its 20th anniversary on Friday, has millions of fans around the world, but one University of Washington professor is clearly not among them. For a recent published academic journal, the professor Holly M. Baker, that sounds strikingly like a white liberal woman's name. I hope I'm mistaken. Wrote an article, Unsettling SpongeBob and the Legacies of Violence on Bikini Bottom. Oh. In which she offers a different take on the affable sea sponge. SpongeBob SquarePants and his friends play a role in normalizing the settler colonial takings of indigenous lands while erasing ancestral Bikinian people from their non-fictional homeland. The article reads, they're non-Bikini Bottom. It's a cartoon with talking sea sponges and sea stars and stuff. And a squirrel that lives in a spacesuit underwater. From their non-fictional homeland. Okay. Full stop. Maybe this professor should, I'm not a big fan of cancel culture or nothing like that, but maybe this person should probably be removed from academia because they're insane? Just a thought, maybe they should have their head examined before they are teaching our youth. Just a possibility. Because this is crazy. It gets better, though. Marker calls SpongeBob's colonization of Bikini Bottom violent and racist. I didn't know these undersea creatures had races. That's never really come up. And also claims that the cartoon is guilty of whitewashing of violent American military activities against natives of the Pacific. Wow. What a leap they are trying to make here. Marker's beliefs come from an idea that the show is set on a version of the real-life Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands during the Cold War. Natives of the area were relocated and the American military used the zone for nuclear testing. I would have to say that that's pretty false to even think that, because I, as a fan of SpongeBob, it came out when I was, around 9 or 10. So yeah, I've been watching SpongeBob practically since it came out. I have children of my own. We watch SpongeBob together. Not as much. They're not as into it. But, yeah. If you go back through some of the episodes where they had, live action scenes, they were always on the coast of, California or something. They weren't near the Bikini Atoll, so that, in its theory, is wrong right off the bat. People are stupid, man. We're losing it as a human race. We're losing it. I don't get it. The area remains uninhabitable to this day. That history has given rise to fans' theory that Bikini Bottom is inhabited by creatures who owe their mutation to that testing. Also ridiculous. Margaret stated that as an American character allowed to inhabit an area that natives had no choice but to leave, SpongeBob showed his privilege of not caring about detonation of nuclear bombs. First off, who even said SpongeBob wasn't American? They're projecting, they're projecting what they want to be seen just for they can have this nonsensical argument. Because no one's ever referred to any of these people except for Sandy, which is that squirrel, because she's from Texas. So no one's ever referred to anybody as anything except for Sandy the squirrel, really, as a Texan. Ridiculous. And they're not even going after Sandy the squirrel because she's a strong, smart female character. So they won't touch that one. Marker also points out the cultural appropriation of the Pacific culture, with Hawaiian-style shirts, homes in the shape of pineapples, tikis, and Easter Island heads. Which, if you notice, the Easter Island's nowhere near this area. Nowhere near it. But yeah, that's wrong too. And the sounds of a steel guitar perpetuating stereotypes of the region. It's not a stereotype. Go to those regions, those tropical regions. People that live there and have always lived there, native people, they wear Hawaiian shirts. They play kettle drums. They play steel guitars. That's not a stereotype when they actually do it. You know? It's just not. I don't get it. I just don't get this argument. It's so frustrating and infuriating. Even the theme song, according to Marker, is problematic, as it denounces the area as one full of nautical nonsense. Well, it's a cartoon for children that is full of nonsense, so no? Marker understands that the writers likely didn't have colonization in mind, not at all probably, when creating the show, but she's upset by the lack of acknowledgement that Bikini Bottom and Bikini Atoll were not the writers for the taking. Shut up. Other issues for Marker: a perceived imbalance between male and female characters, and the name Bob representing an everyman rather than a culturally appropriate character. They're underwater creatures. What is culturally appropriate to call a fish? Mr. Krabs is called Mr. Krabs because he's a crab. SpongeBob is called SpongeBob because he's a sponge. Patrick Star, starfish. Come on. Come on. Really? Plankton? They're not culturally appropriating anything. They're calling them what the animal they are and a name. And a name. This is ridiculous. This person should be fired for being mentally inept. I'm not going to get too mean with it. In the article, Marker claims that because of these themes, children have become acculturated to an ideology that includes U.S. character SpongeBob residing on another people's homeland. Well, why don't we say anything about the immigrants here? How about we stop all immigration because, you know, most of us Americans were born here, and these people are coming here and culturally appropriating our stuff, and I'm offended. I am offended perpetually about this. Oh, it's ridiculous. The article concludes with this: we should be uncomfortable with a hamburger-loving American community's occupation of Bikini's lagoon and the ways that it erodes every aspect of sovereignty. Oh boy, the journal in which the article was published is called A Contemporary Pacific, a journal of island affairs, based on a cartoon that is not based in any way, shape, or form on reality. And it is designed to publish pieces on social, economic, political, ecological, and cultural topics. A representative for Nickelodeon did not immediately respond to Fox News' request for comment. Fox News attempts to reach Tom Kinney, who voiced SpongeBob SquarePants, were unsuccessful. Because, why? Why would they? Why would they even try to argue anything? Because it's ridiculous argument. It's a completely ridiculous argument. It doesn't make any sense. But, I mean, SpongeBob's been in the news so many times. Here's a story, old story from Politico. Back in 2013, a lot of stories about SpongeBob were coming out because for some reason, political people started latching onto it for some reason or another. Didn't make any sense to me, and it still doesn't make any sense now. But see, SpongeBob next conservative praise. I'm not going to get into the story. I'm just saying the conservatives were all kinds of happy about SpongeBob. And then the left was happy. SpongeBob SquarePants is a Marxist. And they were all happy and just with glee about this. So, as you can see, it's more just absolute nonsense, but this is we're seeing the degradation of, like, sensible thoughts. People are just reaching in their brains to the deepest, darkest crevices to come up with the most fantastical, nonsensical arguments I and many have ever heard. This doesn't make any sense. When you're taking a cartoon, a children's cartoon, and trying to equate it to nuclear testings of the 1950s and 60s and stuff, what? What? I think you've gone a bit far, and I think these people really need to stay out of politics. These people just need to get away. They need to go to a cabin in the woods for a few months and just clear their mind of everything. Because they're hurting themselves. I mean, they're making themselves look like fools. They're obviously constantly in a state of panic and just outrage. It's not good for them. It's not good for you to be constantly trying to find something that doesn't exist in something else. Just stop. Go outside. Listen to the birds chirp for a while. Go sit on your porch. Go fishing. Go do something semi-productive with your life besides this, because you just wasted me, everyone watching, and your own time with this moronic article. But I'd love to hear your comments, and as always, like, share, and subscribe. I will catch y'all on the flip side.